Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first JBDC Virtual Biz Zone for the year 2022. Happy New Year to everyone. And on behalf of Team JBDC, we wish you good health, wealth in your entrepreneurial endeavors, and prosperity, just general prosperity in life. Welcome back to those of you joining us that have joined us before. And of course, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, a warm welcome to you as well. Now, as you would know, the JBDC Virtual Biz Zone is a platform used by the corporation to sensitize our clients about the newest developments to assist particularly MSMEs to recover from and pivot their businesses during these challenging times. So this morning, we have with us a representative from Tax Administration Jamaica. As you know, tax time is coming up very soon. And with the pandemic, businesses must find a way of doing business in different ways. And so Ms. Antoinette Anderson, who is a Taxpayer Education Officer, is here to educate us about the online services that are being offered by the Tax Administration Department. As always, if you have questions, you can always feel free to post them in the chat or to raise a virtual hand and we will have those questions addressed. Also, this morning, we are launching an audience feedback form because we're trying to make the Biz Zone better for you, our audience. And so we crave your feedback in this process. We're gonna post a link in the chat closer to the end of the session, and we just ask that you complete it for us. And then for your information as well, the session is being recorded. And so if you are unable to stay for the entire session, you can always visit our YouTube channel, JBDC Jamaica, and you will be able to access all of the session. And if you know anyone that wanted to be a part of the session, but could not get to be a part of it for whatever reason, please direct them to the JBDC Jamaica page on YouTube. Additionally, we ask that you subscribe so that when new information is uploaded, you will get first access to it. So without any further ado, I want to hand over at this point to Ms. Antoinette Anderson, Taxpayer Education Officer at Tax Administration Jamaica, and she's going to share with you some of the resources that are now available online from Tax Administration Jamaica. Antoinette, it's over to you.
Thank you, Sansia. I'm going to share my screen. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is well this morning. I am Antoinette, as Sansia said earlier. I'm a Taxpayer Education Officer. I'm specifically located at the King Street location. However, we have Taxpayer Education Officers in all our RSCs, that's Revenue Service Centers. So one of my roles is basically to inform and educate the public like yourself on various tax matters, and to also assist with how you navigate, the tax system, the tax portal, whether filing a return, the whole works basically, as much as we're able to. So today we're gonna be talking a little bit on our operations, basically the scope of our operations and what's happening, some of the new things as well. We'll be doing some demonstrations on paying online and basically what you need to know about the whole process. And then we'll talk about some of our new payment channels and some of the things that's to come. So you are aware that TAJ is the main collecting agency. And yeah, we collect the domestic taxes, but in addition to that, we also collect other fees for other departments, basically. So outside of the consumption taxes, there are also the different fees. Take, for instance, motor vehicle fees, police records, hawk and pedal license, all different kinds of fees we collect. So the fees that we collect, fees and taxes that we collect goes to over like 200 and something, basically. So you can get a sense of the scope of the operations that we have. So, you know, in light of all that's happening with the COVID pandemic, we want to ensure that we, you know, have a little bit to say in how you do the business with us and keeping you safe at the same time. So the e-focus is what we're kind of pushing this a lot because it's inevitable, you know, using technology, going online, doing stuff online is where it's all headed. So there can be no hesitation about it. Even if there's a little bit of hesitation, it has to be like a short-term thing, and then, you know, you get with it. So for the e-focus, what we've noticed over the last 2 quarters, the quarters between April and September, is that more persons are paying online. So 76%, 74% of persons, or 74% of the taxes that we collect represents taxes that were paid online. But, you know, while that is significant, what we also realize is that 74% of the persons who interact with us are still coming to the office. So the objective is to reduce this significantly. So some of the things that we're doing to kind of, you know, change the way how we do business is that you would be aware that we have offices that are opened on Saturdays. We have a queue management system at the St. Andrew Tax Office and the Falmouth Tax Office. And currently, all of your returns are to be filed online. So there is no longer, you know, persons coming into the office with a paper to hand to the cashier to make a return. They're all online now. So, you know, that's even more reason why you have to get used to the whole system and staying compliant by filing online. Then there is a driver's license renewal online payment. I know persons are actually using this option to kind of stay out of the lines. And despite the fact that you still have to come and drop off the stuff, it's still a little step further than where we were before a year or 2 years ago. So in that process, you basically make the payment online. You submit the receipt from that payment along with a copy of your driver's license and the application form. You drop it in a box at the office. It's processed and you're given a time frame to come back and collect that. So at least you're not standing in line waiting to be attended to. All right. Now, some of the new things that's happening, and some persons may have already been sensitized about them. 2 new payment channels just became, you know, we just started to use 2 new payment channels, the NCB online and the direct funds transfer and the TAJ mobile application, 3 payment options. So for the NCB online, you'd set up TAJ as an online payee, basically. The thing about this one is that you have to set up each tax type on the NCB payee. Direct funds transfer, this feature can be used by any of the banks. So what it is that you do a payment advice on our website, which is the direct funds transfer number. And when you go to your bank account, whichever bank you're using, as long as you give the instruction from the DFTN, you basically be giving us information then as to what the bank is, what the amounts represent when the banks pay those money to us. The TAJ mobile app as well, and while it's still limited, it's still an option that you can use. And then there is a TCC auto renewal process. So, you know, like what used to be is that you'd get the TCC clearances from the NHT and the NIS, and in some cases the HART. What's happening now is that once you are up to date with all of your obligations, you're filing on time, you're paying on time, and the system sees no other hindrances to not renew.tcc, it's automatically renewed. So you want to be on time with all of your obligations to experience that convenience. And then there's a GCT online application process. So used to be, you would apply for your GCT registration status, and then a letter is generated or a certificate is generated, and you have to, come and collect that letter. What's happening now? Once you are registered for GCT, those letter, that certificate is automatically sent to your correspondence tab on your e-services account, along with the GCT data sheet. So the fun thing about this is that it has a QR code attached to it. So for persons who might be a little bit skeptical about a GCT certificate and they're not sure, the QR code will give them that access to, when it's displayed, it will give them the access to scan the QR code to know if this person is truly registered to collect GCT. So that's one of the fun things that's happening with that. All right, so we spoke of the Dropbox. So paying online. And we're going to just delve a little bit into the online payment options that's there. So right now, you still can pay with credit card online. You still can use our e-banking for persons who are Scotia users. There is the NCB bill pay that's fairly new, and then the direct banking option that I'd mentioned earlier. So to be able to do any payment online, first you have to have a login, right? So the login would be your username and password, and that is generated when you go to our website to create an account. So the login is your choice, but you will be given a default password as long as you satisfy all of the options when you're signing up. Now, this is a two-pronged scenario where you can create a username and you can use that username to make what we call non-log-on payments. We'll talk a little bit more. And then there's the e-services registration where you can actually do more with that login. So as opposed to just be limited to making payments, when you have an e-services account, or when you do the e-services registration, you can then communicate with us via the correspondence tab. You can view all of the submitted returns that you do. You can make the returns online, and basically you'll have the option to see all of your payment history. Now, for a payment that is made using the non-log-on, you'd be able to do all of those payments for like the asset tax, your income tax, consumption taxes, your trade licenses, withholding taxes and all of that. You're able to do all of that with just the creation of a username, right? Now, when you register for the e-services, you are able to see more, like I said earlier. You can view all of your balances for all of your different tax types. Not only that, you can do what we call a statement of account. So if you're not too sure about what's happening, on the face of your account, you can do the statement of account to see line by line items with payment and filing history and things like that. So for persons who wish to pay via credit card option, the credit card holders can be Visa debit, or you have the MasterCard debit. Those options are also available for you to pay via that credit card option when you go on to pay. So let's talk about the payment when you go to our website to make a payment. So, and I'm taking it from the end where persons are registered for an e-services account. So when you log into your account and you go to the Manage My e-services, You'll look on the right side of that screen on the I-1 where you have a myriad of options. The option to make multiple payments. When you select this option, what it does, it gives you a list of it will ask you first whether you're going to pay by credit card or by the Scotia option. And then it gives you a list. It gives you a list of all of the tax types. When you look at the screen, you have payment period with balances or just my account. And then there is a payment summary. So while you're seeing all of the balances, it may be a case that you're not going to pay all of that balance at once. So what you would do is basically in the payment account, in the payment amount column, you will indicate how much you're paying. And then the payment type, you'll select from the drop down, whether you're paying against a liability or you're paying against a period, or you're paying for an audit arrangement or payment plan. You'll select which option that applies to this payment that you're making. Once you make all of those, you basically the amounts that you're selecting will be tallied. So in the upper area of this, you'll see where it says customer debt balance, and then it has payment total right below it. Now, if the payment total was not what your debt balance is, the payment total is going to be different. All right, so if you had chosen to pay a lesser amount, that payment total will be different from the customer debt balance. All right. Now, the process from here is fairly simple. You basically review what you just selected, and then you go to the page. This basically is you reviewing the information just to ensure that we have it in the event that there is anything in the background that we need to contact you after you make the submission. So you just review everything that the screens will show you from here. And then at this point, you'll use the continue button to take you into the section where you're going to now enter your credit card information. All right. Now, in the event that you're using the direct funds, the BNS, which is the electronic bank payment, it's gonna look a little different, right? So in this section, you'll basically be given the option to choose the Scotia. Scotia is the only one on the list basically, but you still have to select it. So you select that drop down across from name and choose the Scotia. You'll then have to select the branch of Scotia that you have your account. When you do that, the routing number is automatically populated in the field. So you won't have to go fetch a routing number for your branch. It will automatically populate there. And then you'll be required to put the account number and confirm the number. As it relates to the payment, here where it says pay balance.
Antoinette. Antoinette?
Yes.
Right.
Sorry
to interrupt you here, but I heard you talk about the branch number, and I think it's a good time for me to ask you this question that has been posted.
Okay.
Chat. So someone says that they have been trying to register a payroll account, but they are asked for a tax branch number. So they want to know what that is.
To be honest, let me see if I understand what the person is. Registering a payroll account, it means that you're registering to file the payroll, the SO1 monthly and the SO2 annually. All right. I would need to know that, because if that is the case, then I don't know where in the process it requires that you do a ID. But in where I know the case stands, where they ask for branch ID, is usually if it's just a mother branch, you'll basically put zeros. Okay, if you have external branches, then you'll put what those branch numbers are.
Said that she's trying to do a SO1 for new staff.
Yeah, so I'm not sure at what point in the process she's required to put a branch ID. I'm not familiar.
The zeros Whitney, can you hold up your raise your hand so that you can open your mic and we'll get this started. If you could just raise your hand for us. All right, so we're gonna unmute you, Whitney, and you explain. Go ahead, Whitney.
Hello, are you hearing me?
No,
yes, Whitney.
Hi, morning. I am basically new to entrepreneurship, so I set up the e-services account already. And because I have one employee, they're saying that I need to file an SO1. So I said, okay, I went on the platform. It says that I'm required to open a payroll account. So I've started to do that. But then it says for me to open the payroll account, to file SO1, I need to know what the tax branch number is. I put in 4 zeros, all right, it says no. The 4 nines, it said no.
All right, Whitney, my question to you is, just tell me, how did you go about registering for those payroll accounts? What were the steps that you took, or what you've been taking?
So I went to, Jesus, I'm on the road, so I can't even go back to tell it directly one step after the other. But I know that I went to my e-services account, I logged in, and then I went to the part that said pay, how to pay or file taxes. I clicked that, and then it took me to a screen that said, that told me what the requirements were. From the requirements now, because I can't remember what else it asked me for, but I know that it took me there and it won't allow me to move forward.
All right. So Whitney, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, I'm gonna take you back to where you should go. When you log into the website, right? Look for this. Sorry, I just want you to be familiar with it. This on the screen that says manage my e-services account, right? When you log in on the e-services page, manage my e-services account is right there at the top in the middle column. Okay. You will select manage my e-services account, right? Now, having selected manage my e-services account, you'll come to the screen that looks like this one. Right. So on the right of this page, you're seeing I want to make payments for other taxpayers is the first option on there. You're seeing it?
Yes, I think I selected the second option with that says register.
So you selected register for accounts.
Right.
Okay, so when you select register for accounts, just by memory, the next screen is just gonna tell you about the service and what to expect and what you need for it. So you'll just select next afterwards. The page that comes up from the account type, there's a drop-down box. Beside account type, that drop-down box is where you're gonna scroll and you're gonna look for payroll.
Right, that's where I was. I remember that.
Okay, so that's where you were.
Right.
And you got an error message that said that what was the error message? Can you remember?
It says this branch type, this branch number does not exist for user. I'm not sure if it's specific to.
Also, more likely, so I think what might be the case is that you need to register a branch. So you would have, I'm guessing you would have indicated that you're self-employed, but for the purpose of the payroll taxes, you need to register a branch 1. So what you'd need to do first, Whitney, you see the option 4 that says register branch?
Right.
You'll have to register that branch first.
Okay.
So that when it gets to the point of you registering the payroll, I didn't realize you were a sole proprietor. So as a sole proprietor, in this case, it would ask you for it. So when you register the payroll, when you register the branch, complete that process. When you go back to register for the payroll accounts and it asks for the branch, you'll just put the 001.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so do the register branch first.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah, I leave a number. If you have any challenges, you can call. I'll leave a series of numbers. You can try.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, man. All right, so we're on the Scotia payment option, right? Are there any other questions from what was already said?
Nothing else at this point, but I will get back to you after you finish the presentation. If I see anything comes up that is aligned to what you're saying, I'll bring it up at the time.
All right, thanks, Ansia. All right, so at this point now, where it says payment of, this has an amount, which is fine. But here you can either select yes if you're going to be paying the entire sum, or you can select no if you're just going to be paying a part of it. All right. So once you select no, you're basically going to be putting in how much you're paying towards that tax type. Now, the payment type as well, you choose whether it's for other liability or for return or payment plan. This payment type option has it has a list of other options there. So you can explore the list to see which type is suited for the payment that you're making. All right, so having entered all of the information and you're satisfied with the information that you've entered, you will select the submit button at the bottom. It will ask you to confirm if this is what you want to do right before you complete the process. So you still have a little bit of time to rethink or change your mind and pay the entire sum. All right, so it gives you a confirmation at the end of it. So this is the confirmation screen. You can either print it if you wish, or you can load it to your computer and save it. Okay, so for the direct funds transfer option. So from the same list, I want to generate the payment advice to do the direct funds transfer. You'll go to where it says generate payment advice /DFTN. And the DFTN is short for direct funds transfer number. All right. So it'll give you this page about the service, what you need, and what will happen afterwards. For the payment advice, like I'd indicated earlier when we're doing the credit card, it gives you a list of the accounts that's on your online, that's available for you online. It gives you the section that says documents with balances, and then it gives you my documents. My documents would basically be for like the stamp and transfer duty. So in this section, you'd basically be choosing on the payment amount where you have the zeros. You'll click on those, click on whichever tax type you're going to be making the payment, and then you enter the amount that you're gonna pay. Now we'll have a similar look like the ones that I'd indicated for the credit card, where you choose a payment type and you choose a payment amount. So you have to pay attention in this case on the period that you're paying for, the amount that you're paying on that period, and the tax type that you're paying. Once you've selected everything and it's okay, you'll basically be submitting the information after checking this checkbox. So you read the information, you check the box, and then submit it. When you're done submitting, you'll go directly to your correspondence tab. So it will be sent to you in your correspondence tab. When you open the correspondence, you'll see payment advice, and the payment advice will look something like this. So we give you the direct funds transfer number right at the side, and it will also give you the list of tax types and the amounts against each tax types as you had selected them when you were doing the DFTN or generating the payment advice. Now, that payment advice, when you go to your bank, I can't speak for every bank because I don't know all of the interfaces, but for persons who have banks that do online banking, when you go to make your payment online via the bank, you'll directly refer to this DFT number. You relate the DFT number to them with the amount that you're paying. Now, this is very tricky because the DFT number that you're submitting must be exactly what your bank is submitting to us for payment. Any difference in it is going to cause some amount of delay in posting those payments, right? So you want to be very on point with even down to the cents, all right? So what else is happening? March 15 is slowly approaching. And March 15 for every self-employed, every business owner, every company director, every person who is involved in business activities, that's a very special date for everybody. And it's special in that this is the day that you submit those annual returns or the report that you give to the government for whatever activity you're involved in. So all of your income tax returns become due on this date. All of these returns must be filed online. And some examples, the ones that you'll probably be able to relate to based on your based on the segment of the market that you're involved in. You'll see the SO4s, the SO4A, the ITO2, ITO7. This is not exhausted, just to limit you to just a limited amount of those on this one. So March 15th is the due date. Currently, because I know persons may ask, currently we're not ready yet with the SO4 form for you to file it online, but that is gonna happen very soon. So for persons who want to be early birds, I know since January, persons have been coming, they want to file a SO4, and understandably so. But we're trying to improve the form itself so that it's easier for you to manipulate online. And we don't want to do it shabby, we want to make sure it's right. So the form is going to be available soon. So just continue to bear with us where that is concerned, all right? Now we do what is called a special taxpayer assistance program for this tax season. So it starts here in February and it goes up to the time when the due date comes. We want to do it based on an appointment basis because to control the volume of persons that will converge on the space, we'll have to do it based on appointments. So whichever office you'd be more comfortable going, whichever RSC you'd be more comfortable going, you can reach out to that RSC to set the appointment to see a taxpayer education officer for the assistance in preparing your returns. Now, seeing us is one thing, being prepared to see us is another, right? So when you're coming to us, you must have organized records. You must have computed your figures that should be included on your return, right? You don't come to us to ask us, what should I put here? Or what amount is okay to put there? I've had so many experiences. So you just want to bridge the tax a little bit. You want to know what's the best amount to put there, you know, which is kind of underhanded because you have to be reporting based on what actually takes place in your business. So you want to be keeping proper books and records so that when the time comes for you to report, you're reporting exactly what takes place, all right? And for the process of persons who already have a login, please come prepared with your login information. You know, it sets you back when every time you come, you'll be doing a reset. You don't remember your username, you don't remember your password. It kind of sets you back because you must understand you're here to do business, you must be prepared for it. All right, so just have your information available for that kind of assistance from us. It makes it way smoother, trust me. And so other services that are available for the online process are having the e-services. You can actually object to tax assessments, generate statement of accounts, or register the branch, which I had explained to Whitney earlier, track the driver's license status, schedule an advisory visit, So like for the advisory visit, as a taxpayer education officer, we have instances where we may reach out to some persons to give them the advice. And then on the other hand, there are taxpayers who will reach out to us. So scheduling the advisory visit can be done online. So you basically go to the option on the e-services page that says schedule the visit, advisory visit, and complete that section. And we'll reach out to you for whatever information you need. Applying for the TCC, that's a very popular thing online as well. So persons who will need your TCC to open your bank account, you can do the application online. Persons who wants to apply for exemptions or for GCT deferment, applying for the specified services exemption, all of these, they're all available for you to file these, to apply for them online, right? So where we had spoken earlier about creating a username and just having the username for payment, you may want to consider doing an e-services registration to have access to all of these, all right? So what's new? So currently we do Scotia Line, we accept payments from Scotia bankers, but not in the case where you can set up TAJ as a payee on your Scotia account. So this is one of the things that we're considering in the future. It's already being conceptualized, and I'm not so sure how soon, but that's one of the things that we hope to do in the future, where you can set up TAJ as a payee on your Scotia online account. You can, paying your police record online is also something that's coming up. And the motor vehicle renewal online. And they just basically an enhanced website. So I know it's a challenge for some persons who are not familiar, but as soon as you know how to navigate some stuff, other things become easy. So look forward to an enhanced website in the future, near future that is. All right, so we've covered the scope of TAJ, what's happening, what's new, what you need to know about the online payment channels, and some of the things to come. There is also the how-to guide on the website. So when you create the login, the how-to guide is on there where you can view the list of some of the things that we can do online, and you can actually click on those and see screenshots of how to get these things done. Filing, registering for the GCT, paying for a fitness fee, paying your property taxes online. Those are just small tutorials, like screenshots of how you can go about doing it in the event you're not able to get to a taxpayer education officer or a client relation manager. All right, so that's it for the presentation. I know I may have a couple of questions, so we can take some questions now. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Antoinette, for a very informative presentation. I have a couple of questions here for you. I know that you mentioned NCB and Scotia as the places where persons are able to pay from in terms of online banking, but are payments from other financial institutions accepted as well? And how would that process go?
Okay, so you remember the option that I had mentioned for the DFTN, direct funds transfer?
Right.
The direct funds transfer option is available to other banks.
Okay.
Including Scotia and NCB.
So that's the number. Tell me how that works again.
All right, so when you generate the direct funds transfer number on our website, you'll go to your bank, you'll instruct your bank. I don't know if you're using the online services. I guess you can set up TAJ on their online services as a payee, right? So you'll set up TAJ as a payee on there. And then when you're making the payment, you include, like, there's a section for memoir, some note or something where you can enter information basically. So the note is to say that this payment is for these taxes, and that's the DFTN. That's it, the number that's generated, you'll give that to your bank, and the bank will basically, when they make the payment to us, will send that information with that payment. So we know what the payment was for.
All right, got you. All right.
But like I was saying earlier, it has to be the exact. You cannot do a DFTN for $10 and then tell your bank to pay $9.50.
Oh, so it has to
you understand?
Nice.
It has to be exact.
Okay. All right, another question. The special taxpayer assistance. It sounds like something you do on an individual basis. Is there a facility that TAJ has? Like, for example, you could use maybe a webinar format or something to just do a session wholesale, just to assist more, to get the opportunity to assist more persons. So for example, you have a session and you accommodate maybe 100 persons and everybody is able to benefit from the information at that point. Is there a facility like that?
Okay, so we would hold seminars, right? So the seminar would basically to explain how the return is completed. And I'm guessing on that, in that instance, the information would be on how to complete a specific return or specific returns. So like take, for instance, a self-employed person who would be required to do a SO4 at the end of the year. We would have seminars or would have workshops to demonstrate how to complete the SO4. So what is required on the SO4 based on your specific needs. But in cases like those, we hope that the hope is that it's a little bit targeted. You don't want to, wholesale is okay. Wholesale is okay. However, you don't want anybody to be left behind, right? So it's targeted, they're mainly small groups, smaller groups, so maybe like 20 or 30 persons at a time per seminar. But we never had a large volume, like say for this one, we have 70-something persons in there. And there may have been instances, but not in recent times.
And maybe you can have a collaboration with JBDC and we'll work together on it, because I'm sure it is something that the entrepreneurs would appreciate. Because, the entrepreneurs have a lot on their mind and sometimes they forget how to do things. And then, especially with the new way of things being done now, the online portals being included, because, of course, we have to pivot to fit what's happening in the environment, So we can always work together because we have one mission, right? All right.
Yeah, man, we do it. We actually do it. We do it. Okay. Yeah, we do it.
All right, I have a couple of questions in the chat that I'm going to go through for you. Someone is asking for a company registered on December 31, 2021. When would they be required to file? Is it 2022 or 2023?
December 31st, 2021?
Yes.
So they registered on December 31st?
Yes.
And they said that their commencement date is when? When would they start business?
All right. Mr. Ferguson, you'll have to let me know when will you start business so that we can have a response for you.
Because the registration date is one, but the start of business is another. If they're not one in the same, then you go from the start of the business. So if you're registered, really actually based on based on the income. Go ahead.
Morning. Yes. It would have been January 1.
Okay. So your name is Richards?
No, Jordan Ferguson.
Mr. Ferguson, sorry. So Mr. Ferguson, what you basically be required to do, and it's a sole proprietorship, right?
Company.
Is a company.
Correct.
Okay, so what you'd be required to do then at the beginning of this year, because you say you registered it the ending of last year.
Yes.
So you do what we call an estimated return, an estimated income tax return, which for you would be the ITO7 if it's a limited company.
Okay.
You there?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so when you do the ITO7 at the beginning of the year, you're basically saying to us, okay, this is my anticipated income for this year. And based on that, the income tax would be calculated for you to pay over a quarterly basis throughout the year.
Okay.
Did I lose you?
No, man, I understand. Thank you.
All right. So Mr. Ferguson, your thing right now is to keep those books and records. Please keep your stuff organized. You understand?
Yeah,
right.
No.
That's the most important thing.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question. How do I file a nil return online for my business? I am a sole trader.
Okay, so you're a sole trader. You're filing, and this is your first year of filing, your first year in business. Talk to me. Why nil?
Aziza McCarthy, can you?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning. Are you hearing me?
Good morning.
We're hearing you. Go ahead, Aziza.
Yes, so my business has been registered for quite some time, but it has not been operational. So yes, it will be my first year in business.
Okay, so you say you're sole proprietor. You're a sole proprietor. Is it that you registered a trade name? You registered a trade name, or you just?
Yes, it's registered as a trade name.
Okay, and you said it was for some time now? How long is some time now?
It's been registered since 2015, but I have not been trading.
All right, so I'm going to be very careful in how I answer this, because we first need to see what the history is, right? Filing a nil return would mean that you've not done any business, you've not had any income whatsoever. Because let me explain to you. See, as a sole proprietor, your SO4 covers income from all sources, even sources outside of Jamaica. So even if you weren't operating the trade under the trade name or the business that you registered, it could be that, okay, so I registered a nail technician business, but then I'm making some money from a taxi. Remember, all of these activities fall under you, the sole proprietor, you know? So you can't be only focused on the one you registered. You still would have obligation to report any and every source of income that you have.
Okay,
so that's why the nil, I can't answer the nil like that. I'd have to understand your situation a little more.
Okay, would you be able to provide me with a number that I may call you or somebody else after to speak in more detail?
Yeah, I will send some numbers to you. I'll send some numbers to the chat.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Aziza, for your question. Antoinette, before we move to another question, I just want to remind everyone that the presentation was indeed recorded and it will be available on the JBDC YouTube channel. It should be available by about Friday of this week, if not before. Additionally, I've just placed the form that I spoke about earlier, the feedback form in the chat, and we're asking you if you could just, it's a very quick form, just go through and answer those few questions for us. The aim is to make this a much better virtual biz zone for you. So please just complete those forms first. Now, I have another question for you here, Antoinette. It's from Gerangela Lodowica. I hope I said that correctly. Are payment plans offered to pay tax to the government? In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, just as again as a reminder, the presentation will be available on YouTube. And of course, we have our virtual Bizone sessions on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. But where we talk about many different topical issues associated with business development, with entrepreneurship. The idea is to help you to become a much better entrepreneur. Okay, are payment plans offered to pay tax to the government?
Yeah, man, definitely. So if you're having any kind of challenge with paying, you can always sit with a compliance officer and make the arrangements. Definitely.
All right, great. And then I have another question. My sole trader business was registered in November 2021. When am I required to file? And I also have a full-time job. How do I differentiate the payments?
Okay. So November 2021 was the date that you say you registered the company?
Right.
And you started trading November 21?
She said it was registered. Renee Wallace, can you raise your virtual hand and we will have a short conversation with you just to finalize when exactly did you start. And ladies and gentlemen, when you're asking the question, be a little bit more precise in terms of registration versus the start date, because that is how Antoinette will be able to answer the question. All right, let me move to another question.
Some questions, Sansia, some questions, we're talking about taxes, right? Everybody's situation is going to be unique, right? So not all of the answers can be clear cut.
Right.
It's based on your unique situation that we can answer those.
Right. That's why
if you're as specific as you can be, that would be good.
Right. So she said that the registration and start date is the same date. This is the same person from November 2021.
All right. So if it is that you had registered a name at the company's office, you have to start reporting based on the time of your registration and the start date. So initially, I thought it was based on the start date, but it's really once you register a company a name or company at the company's office, we're expecting you to actually start to file as at that date. Now, there are exceptions in the case where you have your accounting period is different from the calendar year, that is. So if it is that you requested from the commissioner a permitted accounting period, then the report that we're expecting from you would be based on that permitted period. I hope I didn't lose you. So we report, when you're reporting to the tax office, you report on a January to December basis. So which is the calendar year, right? Oh. But there are exceptions where persons would prefer to do the reporting based on their accounting cycle internally. So those persons can reach out to us and request for permission to report based on your accounting period. Now, once we accept it, once it's sealed that we have given that permission, you may go ahead and report based on that permitted period that you would have gotten. Otherwise, you're reporting from January to December. So if you start at any point between January to December, you have to report those in the following year by the 15th of March.
Fabulous.
That clear enough for you?
That was clear. That was quite clear, and I hope that Renee got the response. Yes, she said it's clear. Thank you very much, Renee, for responding. Another question here from Kay Markland. Is there a threshold for sole traders paying taxes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there is a threshold, but I think the person, Renee, asked a question before. In addition to that, she had said she has employment, right? She said something about having employment.
She did, yes. And she wanted to know how to differentiate the payments.
All right, so Renee, you see when you file your annual return for your SO4, on the SO4, like I was saying earlier, it captures your income from all sources. So by memory, if you're talking about, if we're looking at the SO4 form, on the section B, the first part of it would speak for income from trade and business. So that would be the part that speaks to your business. Then there is income from renting space, income from partnership, because you could actually be earning as a partner. Then there is the income from employment and offices. That's where you'll put your information for the fact that you're employed. Now, employment, there persons may think that, oh, because I work for somebody, you're employed. No, that would depend on the nature of the arrangement between the employer and the employee. So employee in this case would be that your employer is taking the statutory deductions from your NHT, NIS, education tax, and PAY, right? So in that case, you can report that employment from income from employment in that section of the SO4. Renee, if you have any kind of cloud, you can always just let me know. Just send a message and let me know.
All right.
For the threshold. So then your next question about the threshold. The next one is about the threshold, no?
No, that was a different question.
Right. So that's the follow-up. Go ahead.
Okay. So before you move on, Antoinette, we have posted a link in the chat. The link is for a tax compliance seminar that JBDC will be hosting. I think it's on the 22nd of February. So if persons are interested, you can go ahead and click on the link and register for that. The compliance question was from, the threshold question rather, was a question to ask, is there a threshold for sole traders paying taxes?
Okay, so there is a threshold, there is a threshold, but the sole trader, if you're a sole trader who already benefits from the threshold in employment, you only get one threshold. So if that is accounted for in your employment as a sole trader, it already is absorbed from the fact that you're employed. So any other external income that you receive, once it is over the threshold, it is going to be taxed at the 25% for income tax, 25% rate for income tax. Is that clear?
It is. Thank you so much, Antoinette. If I seem a little bit discombobulated, please forgive me. The questions are flying in fast and furious. So
this is what San said. This is what I was saying to you yesterday, you know.
Yes.
Yeah,
all right, let me see. There's a question here from Mr. McLaren, Donovan McLaren. Now, he registered his business.
You're trying to help me?
Yeah. So in January 2022.
Okay. So I have a colleague, let me just say that I have a colleague in the chat who is trying to help me from the chat. Okay. So hopefully we can fill as many as possible.
All right, great. What's her name so that I can just...
Shawnee Taylor.
All right, Shawnee, just jump in right there and see how
and I think there is also Rosemary Brown.
Oh,
so
if given an answer earlier.
Right, so both of them are in there to help me to answer some of those.
All right, thank you very much, ladies. Now this question is from Donovan McLaren. He said for a TCC in January 2022, but only got
got the certification for 4 months. He wants to understand why he didn't get it for 1 year.
Mr. McLaren, so the persons who would get the TCC for a year would be persons who would consider gold customers. So you have to be filing and paying on time and up to date with all of those obligations. I hope that is the situation. If it is, I'm not so sure why the 4 months was given to you. And I guess that would be, that determination would have been from the person who processed the TCC. So it would be a case of looking in the actual case itself to understand. So I can't say why you got 4 months, but for under normal circumstance, it would have been like 6 months. There are cases of persons who would get 3 months as well, but the case is different. So I can't say why you only got 4 months.
Question here, if I may.
Go ahead.
Thank you for taking the question, and thank you, Madam Moderator, for posing it. So what is the modus operandi? Is there a standard where you say, like when you go for immigration, they say you get 6 months in the country? Is a standard 3 months or 4 months, or it's up to the discretion of the supervisor? And if she determines this to be so, then the organization will have to just live with what she says, and there's no course of appeal? That's the question. Is it solely up to the discretion of the supervisor who is dealing with it to determine the period of time for the TCC?
Okay, so you have the communication between the compliance officer and the taxpayer service. It used to be, it would be up to the discretion of the persons who are processing it, but that is slowly changing because with the approval process, the automatic approval process for TCC, that will change soon. So as long as you have everything up to date, all of your payments and all of your returns filed on time, then there should be no problem for you, getting a TCC 6 months to a year. Until then, yeah, it's somewhat up to the discretion of the manager in taxpayer service who processes the TCC.
This is indeed most unfortunate for us small business persons. Worst of all, if we are a registered charity. And we, as I indicated in the chat, we registered in January. So we have no outstanding anything, and this officer will make a determination based on only what she decides and give you 4 months. So you have to go back through that process come January, February, March. By April, you have to do it all over again.
No, but remember, but it's Mr. McLaren?
Yes.
Mr. McLaren, you did hear me say that there's an automatic approval process for the TCC happening now, right?
Yes.
Right, so what you're asking may be a case that you don't even have to apply for a TCC ever again once you're up to date.
So I'm at the...
Yeah, that's what is happening now.
Okay. I hear. So I must now suffer the consequences at 4 months and hope that I fall in the limelight of being automatically processed.
There's no hoping as long as you file and pay on time, Mr. McLaren. That's the whole idea. Once your records are up to date, there is no hope in it. There's just automatic that you're gonna get this TCC. Has anybody, I don't know, has anybody in the seminar experienced getting an automatic TCC before? Anybody? Nobody?
All right, so
Nastasia.
Nastasia has her hand up, but if anyone has gotten it, may I ask them to just drop it in the chat for me. In the meantime, I want to segue for just 1 second to just share this upcoming webinar, upcoming workshop rather, with our audience. It's called Becoming Tax Compliant, and it's a workshop that is being presented by the Jamaica Business Development Corporation. It will be on February 22nd of this year, and it's from 9:30 to 12:30 on Zoom, so you don't have to worry. We are doing it. We are going to be very socially distanced with it. It costs only $3,000. And I've posted the link in the chat and asked that if you are interested, just go ahead and click on the link and you will be able to register. We're going to be looking at things such as knowing your typical business taxes, registering to pay your taxes, capturing business revenue and expenses, calculating your tax liability, avoiding interest and penalties, and claiming your benefits. So a lot of the questions that you have this morning for Antoinette will be answered in this workshop. So please, if you're interested, just click on the link in the chat. I will repost it again, and you will be able to register for this workshop. Now, in terms of the questions, I know that we have.
Yes, Sansi, I see some persons attesting to the TCC automatic renewal process. So I hope Mr. McLaren is paying attention. Mr. McLaren, you there? Okay, any other questions, Sansia?
Yeah, man. Question. Holy.
Yeah, I can't read all of them now. You have to pick out the ones, Sansia. I'm not keeping track, so I don't even know what my colleagues answering, which one.
Nastasia has a question, so I am going to ask Nastasia to unmute and go ahead with
hi, good morning. I don't have a question. I was just saying that I have done it online. I'm a sole trader as well, registered, and I've applied for and renewed my TCC several times using the online system. I find it very efficient and less cumbersome because prior to that, I did go into the office and it was hell to get it done. I didn't get it done.
Okay.
So, Nastasia, I want to ask you,
I've had no issues.
Okay. Did you actually have the experience for the automatic renewal process though, Nastasia?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know about the automatic renewal process. However, when I do go online and make the request, I just fill out what it asks for, and I would call that automatic. Within a couple days, I have the TCC sent off to me.
Yeah, but automatic though is that you don't have to do any of that at all.
Okay, well, so no, I haven't had that experience. So when that comes, I'll look forward to it.
Okay, I think I saw somebody saying that they had that experience. If the person can share, then that would be good.
Okay, all right, that's it.
Thank you so much, Nasa.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I truly hope that your team is still there. Rosemary and Charlotte still helping to answer the question. Is the automatic TCC also given for newly registered businesses? So if a company just registered and they apply for their TCC, is it automatic for them as well, Antoinette?
It would be based on the fact that if all the requirements are met, payment and filing are up to date.
Okay, great.
I know some persons are not aware that when you're registering your business, you can actually get that provisional TCC at the company's office, right?
Okay.
So having gotten that from the company's office, when you make your first TCC application with TAJ, the others after that, once you're compliant, would automatically register you for that. That will automatically renew the TCC once you're compliant.
Wonderful. This has indeed been a very informative session. And what I'm going to do is to save the chat and look for the questions in there and send them to you. What I will ask that you do as well, if you could just put some contact information in the chat. Just all the taxpayer education contact information so that persons go on in there and access that information, just in case, you know, they need more questions answered, or they have some new questions that they want to have answered. A reminder as well for everyone that the session is being recorded. This session is being recorded and it will be available on the JBDC's YouTube channel. It should be up by about Thursday or Friday of this week. So for all those persons that have been coming on and saying, oh my God, I missed most of it, don't worry. We've got you. You'll be able to see it on Thursday or Friday. And if you know someone that wanted to be part of the session but could not join for whatever reason, you can also advise them that the session is available on the JBDC's YouTube channel. I have posted the link to register for the Becoming Tax Compliant workshop, and I've also posted the link for our feedback form for this morning, where we want to get some information from you as it relates to, you know, how it is that we can make the sessions, the JBDC Virtual Biz Zone sessions better for you. And for the person that asked me to repeat what I said about the JBDC Virtual Biz Zone, it is a session that we host every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. So you can always feel free to join us right here on Zoom. We're also live on Facebook. So if you're not able to register for the session before, you can always join us on the JBDC, Jamaica Business Development Corporation Facebook page. Anything else you want to share with us, Antoinette, before we wrap up the session?
Not necessarily. I think I did most of the stuff that I thought was relevant for the business segment.
Right.
But, I just sent the numbers in the chat.
Yes.
For our TE unit. Those are, the first number is the landline, and then the other numbers are for the persons in our team. This is just Kingston though.
Right.
Of course, Constant Spring and Montego Bay and Mandeville, they will have their different numbers, but these are ours.
Sheena, what you will have to do is click on the link, and it will give you all of what you need in order to register for the tax compliance session. So at this point, Antoinette, we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for a very, very, very informative session. We also want to thank your colleagues, Rosemary and Shawnee, for joining and for helping me to maneuver what's been happening in the chat here, because tax administration always has a very strong presentation, and you always get the response that you require in terms of persons coming out and really asking questions and just, you know, getting the information that they need. So this was indeed very informative, and the participants are testifying to that as well in the chat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We do have it available. So if persons want to access what Antoinette shared this morning, you just simply send us an email at communications@jbdc.net, and we will get that information to you. All right, so again, the presentation on the JBDC Jamaica YouTube. So thank you for joining us, and we